Hey guys, today I'm gonna come up with a little guide on how to become a mythic creator, how to, start the whole process, and eventually how to end up in a mythic creating guild and start down in some mythic bosses. It's the hardest content in the game, so there's a lot of preparation involved. There's a lot of research to do, especially with all the fights there are and how it comes to play in your class in these fights. I also want to mention that I am starting to stream all the raids I do. So I'm going to be streaming on Wednesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And this week and next week, we're actually doing a little bit something different because of the holidays. So tonight, I'll actually be streaming the raid. And next week, I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday as well. So that's kind of what my stream schedule is looking like lately. I'm also streaming, here and there, throughout the week as well. So make sure to follow me on Twitch to be notified when I go live. The first thing you need to kind of understand if you want to become a Mythic Raider is that it takes a lot of time, not only during the raid, but also preparation. So, Mythic Plus, staying up with your Covenant, all these kind of things that make your character up to date and as geared as possible. So when you go to these raids, you have you know, a fighting chance to end up killing the boss. But especially at the start of expansion, you need a lot of time to do all this preparation stuff. You have to level to max level. You have to do all the covenant stuff, like I said, and you just need to, I think week one you also had to, we had to clear all the mythic dungeons, so there's a lot to do, and a lot of times this is kind of the barrier to entry to a lot of people. They don't want to spend, 10, 20 hours a week, getting their character ready for raid and raiding at the same time. So, if you're not really interested in the game that much, to that extent at least, I don't think mythic raiding is for you. But if you do want to do mythic raiding, you kind of need to understand that it's a big part, and it is a little flexible though, with raiding guilds having different schedules. You can, do a weekend guild, you know, 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, stuff like that. So time is one of the biggest things when it comes to mythic raiding. The next thing is you need a guild, right? You're not gonna have success plugging mythic. I mean, you're not gonna have success plugging heroic. So it's really tough. You need to get into a mythic raiding guild, and to do this, you need a few things. And this is probably the nerdiest thing I do in real life is raid and mythic guilds and WoW. You're gonna need to apply to a lot of these guilds. You can find many of these guilds on WoW Progress, and you can kind of choose and edit, your search. If you want to play on Horde or Alliance, if you want to do certain days of the week, how many days a week, and then you can start finding guilds you want to join based on their progression. Before you even apply, though, you need to understand a few things. You need logs. You're not going to get into a Mythic Rating Guild without some good logs. I can kind of go over this in another video if you guys like, but you need to learn how to log yourself. This kind of just shows the guilds that, okay, you can do damage on fights, you can, follow mechanics, you're not dying every fight, and you can perform to the mythic standard. So I would go into normal Castle Nathria, heroic Castle Nathria, and just log yourself. That's really important, and you're not going to get far without these, unfortunately. The next thing you're gonna need to do is have a decent. It's kind of another part of the video, but you're gonna need to have a good UI. A lot of these guilds have a section where you have to post a screenshot of your interface. So make sure your UI is clean. Make sure it's not um all messy with all these different action bars and unnecessary stuff, especially when it comes to a rating environment. They'll ask you to post a screenshot in the rating environment. So when you're doing a boss, and if your rate frames and your action bars and your weak auras are all way too big or just taking up 80% of your screen, um I mean, I've never heard of a guild denying someone based on their UI, but it just shows kind of what kind of player you are, based on the UI you have. um, to some extent at least. So make sure you have a good UI, make sure it's clean. That'll actually help you perform a lot better too, based on your UI, right? If you're looking always at the bottom of your screen, you're gonna have a hard time avoiding stuff. So making sure you have a good UI in general is a really important thing to do, and a lot of these guilds look at that in the application process. Another important thing that you need to be doing often when a new raid comes out is researching the fights. Yeah, everyone, wants to just go into the fight blind and, just do damage and stuff, but spending an hour, a few hours actually researching these fights beforehand and during, I've looked at these, I'm still looking at videos for these fights on Mythic and Heroic because, we're a few weeks in, I'm just like, how do they do this boss again? There's 10 bosses. I haven't raided Mythic at all in 4 years. So I'm just like, how do you do raid bosses again? It's actually really difficult for me, at least the first like 2 weeks for it to understand every boss's mechanic. Like I still am learning stuff. So going to the raid, doing your research is really important, whether it's like any YouTube videos or forums or like a combination. So you're not that guy who doesn't know what to do with, I don't know, lines and a boss, or like soaking versus spreading is huge in a lot of these fights. So understanding that you don't want to bring one into the raid when it's not a soak or vice versa. So really researching your fights is really important. This will help you, you know, a lot when it comes to getting into a raiding guild, because if you know the fights when you're doing your logs, beforehand, and you like dodge every mechanic, you're taking little to no damage, and you're performing well in the DPS meters as well. It's gonna look really good to your potential guild that you're gonna try to join. So sure you go into Castle Nathria and future raids, knowing the fights. The last thing I kind of want to talk about is, and this is a big one, it's patience. Mythic raiding is, like I said earlier, the hardest content the game has to offer. Um, so a lot of these fights, and in the past as well, if one person makes an error, everyone dies. And um, that's just the case. It's that hard, right? So a lot of times you'll be that guy who's okay, I got this fight down, after like 30 pulls, right? I can do this fight pretty much perfectly 90% of the pulls. Great. Okay. But you guys, unfortunately, a lot of times you have to wait for the person to, I don't know, however many pulls they need to be able to do that performance as well. So, oh, that person needs like, 100 pulls to understand the fight and do all the mechanics properly 90% of the time. So it takes patience, unfortunately. It's tough stuff. So you need to be having fun while you're raiding, because you're gonna be wiping a lot, especially with mythic content. You're seeing Limit and Echo right now wipe on Sludgefest for, I don't know, probably 20 hours or something crazy like that, and that's in one day. And they're the best players in the world. So it's gonna take guilds weeks, months to kill some of these bosses. If they're raiding, 6 hours a week. So understanding that it's not for the faint-hearted, it requires a lot of patience. But make sure you're having fun too. You don't want to be miserable during this whole process, if you don't enjoy that. So understand that it takes patience, and you're not gonna be downing a boss a week. It's not gonna be like heroic where it's just like, okay, I'll spend a few hours. Okay, we downed it. So understanding that these things take time is really important. And if you know that ahead of time and it doesn't sound that fun, then mythic rating is not for you. Another thing you're gonna need is a reliable internet connection. And it's gonna have to be wired. You can't be running on Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, it's just not gonna be good. Gonna need like consistently good latency. You can't be lagging in these fights at all. Just like even for a second, it can really ruin the whole encounter. So having a good, reliable internet connection is really important. And you'll actually see a lot of guilds like ask for a screenshot of your speednet test. So it's a really important thing in these encounters and rating in general. Another thing that I see a lot of people get like ashamed about is sitting. in raids. They'll have like a roster of like 25, or higher people, and you're getting benched for the mythic raids because there's only 20 people allowed in the mythic difficulty. So I see this a lot, and I even get benched. Like it's not a big deal to me. Like I've been raiding for a while, and I've never really had an issue with being benched. There's just some classes that are better at certain fights than other classes. It's just is how it is. It's the reality, and sometimes oh, this person's got like 10 eye level on you, and we really want to kill his boss. We're gonna bring them. Like that's totally fine. So it's just like it's the nature of the game, and it's if it's in the guild's best interests, I have no issue with it. So try not to get discouraged if you do get benched. Hopefully they'll bring you next time or in the next fight, but it's just kind of how the nature of raiding is, and it sucks, but just how it is. And that kind of sums up the video. I don't think I forgot anything, but let me know if you guys have any questions. Once again, I'm gonna be raiding tonight for the raid. We're doing, I think today we're just doing heroic clear. So come say hi at 9:30. I'm gonna be streaming probably a little bit earlier than that too. So hopefully I get some gear tonight. I don't want to talk about my unlucky loot the past, like the whole expansion in general. I'm still using a crappy bow. I still got a blue trinket. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you guys later. If not, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.